Rachel Whitfield was 11 years old the first time she understood, really understood, that she was despair. It happened at the dinner table, on a Tuesday that should have been forgettable. Her father had folded his napkin, cleared his throat, and said, "Your sister's ballet recital is Friday. We're taking off work." Rachel had a science fair the same day. She'd built a working model volcano that actually smoked. She placed second in the county. Nobody came to see it. That was the pattern for the next 20 years. Emily got the piano lessons. Emily got the car for her 16th birthday, a silver Honda with a bow on it, while Rachel had taken the bus to her after-school job at a grocery store to save for her own. Emily got the wedding, the real one, the country club one, the one with 200 guests and a string quartet. Rachel's courthouse wedding to a quiet accountant named Marcus got a card in the mail. Rachel told herself it didn't matter. She built a life anyway. She got a business degree at night while working days. She started a small property management company with Marcus, the two of them driving out to look at foreclosed houses on weekends, learning contracts, learning numbers, learning patience. By the time she was 34, Whitfield Property Solutions owned 6 rental homes and a small office above a dry cleaner in town. It wasn't glamorous. It was hers. Then her father died. The funeral was small. Rachel gave the eulogy because Emily said she couldn't get the words out, though Emily managed plenty of words at the reading of the will 2 weeks later. The house Rachel had grown up in. The one with the crooked porch step her father never fixed. The one where her mother still lived was left in trust, to be split equally between the daughters upon their mother's passing. But the liquid assets, the savings, the small stock portfolio their father had built over 30 years at the plant, nearly $400,000 went entirely to Emily. "Rachel doesn't need it," her mother said afterward, not quite meeting her eyes. "You've always been so capable." Emily struggles. Emily, 36 years old, had never held a job longer than 8 months. Rachel didn't scream. She didn't cry in front of them. She said, "Okay," and drove home, and sat in her car in her own driveway for 40 minutes. Before she could make herself go inside, Marcus found her there. "Talk to me," he said. "There's nothing to say. They made their choice. They've been making it since I was 11. Emily burned through the inheritance in under 3 years. A house she couldn't afford the taxes on. A boutique that never opened. 2 vacations to Tulum when the money ran dry. Emily moved back in with their mother, into the house that was supposed to belong to both sisters one day. Their mother, now 71, had never worked outside the home. Her only income was a modest pension and Social Security. The property taxes on the old house had crept up for years, and with Emily contributing nothing, the payments began to slip. Rachel found out the way she found most things out about her family now, secondhand, and too late to help even if she'd wanted to. A cousin mentioned it at a birthday party. "Did you hear? The county's got a tax lien on your mom's place." Rachel checked the public auction listings that night, the way she checked auction listings every week for her business. And there it was, her childhood home, the crooked porch step, scheduled for a tax deed sale in 6 weeks. Minimum bid due to back taxes and penalties, $38,400. She did not tell her mother. She did not tell Emily. She told Marcus 4 days before the auction. Rachel almost told them anyway. She almost picked up the phone and said, "Mom, the house is going to auction. Do something. Save it." She dialed her mother's number and let it ring. Emily answered instead. She was at the house, using their mother's phone because her own was, as usual, disconnected for non-payment. "Rachel? Why are you calling Mom's line? I need to talk to her about the taxes on the house." "It's serious, Emily. There's a..." "Oh my God. Is this about money again?" Emily cut her off, and Rachel could hear ice clinking in a glass. The sound of Emily settling onto the porch swing that Rachel used to sit on alone. "You know what? Mom doesn't need the stress right now. She's not doing well. Whatever it is, just handle it. That's kind of your thing, isn't it? You're good with numbers. Fix it like you always do." "I'm not going to fix this one," Rachel said quietly. "Not the way you think. Whatever that means. Look, I have to go. I'm meeting someone for lunch. Don't call and upset Mom with money stuff, okay? She worries." The line went dead before Rachel could say another word. She sat there holding the phone, staring at it. Something hot and quiet building behind her ribs. 23 years of being handed the mess and told to fix it. 23 years of Emily spending, and their mother excusing it. And Rachel being the only one who ever paid attention to what things cost. She thought about calling back. She thought about driving over there and putting the auction notice on the kitchen table herself. Instead, she opened her laptop and pulled the county filing back up. 6 days left. Minimum bid, $38,400. She read it twice, closed the laptop, and didn't call again. They had their chance, she told Marcus that night. I gave them an opening and Emily slammed the door on it herself. Whatever happens now, that's on her. Marcus didn't say anything. He just reached over and squeezed her hand, because he understood that this was the moment Rachel stopped being the family's safety net and started being something else entirely. 2 days before the auction, Rachel got a call of her own, not from family, but from an old contact in the business, a title researcher named Priya, who flagged interesting properties for local investors. You're not going to like this, Priya said. That address you asked me to watch? It's on Kessler Group's radar. Rachel knew the name. Kessler Group didn't buy old houses to live in them. They bought whole blocks of aging homes near the new hospital campus, scraped the lots, and put up 3-story townhomes that sold for triple the land value. She'd watched them do it to streets over from her own office the year before. 100-year-old bungalow reduced to a dumpster full of splintered lumber in an afternoon. They've sent someone to walk the lot twice this week, Priya said, measuring the frontage. That block backs right up to the new medical corridor. If they win it, that house isn't a house in 90 days. It's a foundation pour. Rachel stood in her kitchen with the phone against her ear, looking at nothing. The crooked porch step, her mother's rose bushes, planted the year Rachel was born. 40 years of root system. Nobody at Kessler Group would think twice about tearing out with an excavator. Her mother, 71 years old, opening the door one morning to a crew with a demolition permit and 30 days to vacate. No lifetime lease, no $1 a year rent, no porch step ever getting fixed, because there'd be no porch left to fix. This wasn't just about outbidding a stranger for a piece of real estate anymore. It was a countdown. How deep are their pockets? Rachel asked. Deep enough that if they decide they want it, most people don't outbid them. They usually just don't show up against Kessler. I'll show up, Rachel said. She hung up and sat down and, for the first time since the will was read 2 years earlier, allowed herself to feel something closer to fear than anger. She had the money to win a modest tax auction. She was not entirely certain she had the money to win a war with a development firm that flattened houses for breakfast. She called Marcus into the kitchen and told him everything. He didn't hesitate. Then we go higher than we planned, he said. We use the equity line on the Maple Street duplex if we have to. We are not losing that house to a bulldozer. Rachel didn't sleep much over the next 2 nights. She kept picturing the rose bushes, the morning of the sale. Rachel wore a plain gray blazer and sat in the 3rd row of folding chairs in the county clerk's auction room with 11 other bidders. Investors, mostly men who flipped houses for a living, and barely glanced at her twice. Her mother had no idea the auction was happening. Nobody in the family had bothered to open the certified mail. The bidding opened low. Rachel let it climb, patient, waiting the way she'd learned to wait for a decade in this business, never showing what a property meant to you, because meaning was the thing that made you overpay. 2 small investors dropped out quickly, unwilling to chase a house that far passed its assessed value. Then, at $52,000, a man in a slate gray suit near the front raised his paddle without even looking up from his phone. Priya had warned her about the suit. Kessler Group didn't send people who flinched. The bidding slowed to a crawl between just the 2 of them, Rachel and the suit climbing in flat, unhurried $1,000 steps. The rest of the room gone quiet and watching. $55,000, $58,000, $60,000. Rachel's palms were damp against a folder in her lap. The equity line Marcus had opened on the Maple Street duplex, sitting behind every number she said out loud, a ceiling she prayed she wouldn't have to touch. At $61,000, the man in the suit finally looked up, not at the auctioneer, but at Rachel, a brief, assessing glance, the kind that sized up whether she was a competitor, worth burning more money on, or just noise. Whatever he decided, he set his phone down, shook his head once at the auctioneer, and didn't raise his paddle again. Going once, going twice. Sold to bidder 14. Bidder 14 was Rachel. She sat very still for a moment before she could make herself stand up. Somewhere behind her, she heard the man in the suit murmur into his phone, already moving on to the next lot on somebody's list. The rose bushes were safe. The porch step would get fixed after all. She signed the paperwork with a steady hand, though it took her a second try to get the pen to stop shaking. The clerk didn't know, and didn't need to know, that the address on the deed was the same address on Rachel's childhood. Report cards, hung once briefly on a refrigerator that had since been replaced twice over. Emily called first. 3 days later, once the notice of new ownership hit the mail, some investment company bought Mom's house. We have 90 days before they can start eviction proceedings. 90 days, Rachel. Where's Mom supposed to go? That's terrible, Rachel said, and meant every word of the sentence, if not the sympathy behind it. You work in property. Can you look into it? Find out who bought it. Maybe talk to them? There was a long pause on the line. Rachel looked at the deed sitting on her kitchen table, her own name typed cleanly beneath the county seal. I'll look into it, she said. Give me a few days. She didn't tell them over the phone. She wanted to see their faces. She invited her mother and Emily to what she called a meeting with the new owner's representative at her own office above the dry cleaner. Marcus sat in the corner, silent, arms crossed, the way he did when he wanted Rachel to have the room to herself. Her mother came in already crying, clutching a folder of old photographs like evidence in a trial. Emily came in scrolling her phone, irritated at having to show up at all. Where's this investor? Emily asked. We don't have all day. Mom's exhausted. I am the investor, Rachel said. Silence, the kind that has weight to it, that presses on a room. What are you talking about? Emily said slowly. I bought the house at the tax auction. It's mine now, legally. Entirely mine, no trust, no 50-50 split waiting for Mom to pass. Just mine. Her mother's folder slid off her lap. Rachel, why would you? That's our house. It was our house, Rachel said, and her voice did not shake, though something in her chest did. Then Dad left everything liquid to Emily and told me I didn't need it. Then nobody paid the taxes for 3 years while Emily lived there rent-free, spending money she didn't have. I didn't take anything from either of you that wasn't already about to be taken by the county. I just made sure it went to someone who actually shows up. Emily's face had gone white, then red. So what, you're going to throw Mom out? Your own mother? No, Rachel said. I'm not. She slid a folder across the table, a real one. Not photographs, but paperwork Marcus had drawn up that week. A lifetime lease, $1 a year, guaranteeing her mother the right to live in the house until she died or chose to leave. Full maintenance covered, property taxes covered permanently by Whitfield Property Solutions. Mom stays. Rent is $1 a year forever. I'll fix the porch step Dad never got around to. Then she looked at Emily. You don't get a key. Her mother cried harder, but differently now, the kind of crying that comes when a person realizes the daughter she underestimated for 30 years just quietly saved her from losing her home, while the daughter she'd poured everything into had let it happen. In the first place, Emily didn't come to Thanksgiving that year, or the one after. Rachel didn't lose sleep over it. She fixed the porch step herself on a Saturday in October, kneeling on the same worn wood where she'd once sat alone waiting for parents who went to recitals instead of science fairs. Her mother brought her out a glass of lemonade and stood watching, quiet, for a long time. I should have shown up for you, her mother finally said. Both times. The volcano. And now. Rachel didn't say it was fine. It wasn't fine. Not entirely. Not yet. But she nodded and kept working. And for the first time in a long time, the house felt like it belonged to the daughter who had actually built something to give it back.